We all aware how it feels to be concerned. Exams, request who of, job interviews can all interfere up instant butterflies and curtain scare. But concern can be an insurmountable and weakening issue, deformation a man's capacity to feature day to date. For psychological public health knowledge 1 week, one man describes how he hid his concern by coercion oneself to photo full strangers. John Mannell had ever been the timid kid in the angle. He didn't especially love speaking in front line of big groups of human beings, but was lucky how path. 7 years back, John completed college, excited in his at first plane and was using his job at a window and glass business. But the distress of a belly transactions caused a profound seated concern in him that intended he was fully incapable to recognize the nice things in his lifetime. John quickly began possessing concern attacks how were so bad he barely leftward the building separately of to go to job. I consumable months wherever I'd virtually fair go household and sit in a blackened chamber, and hold myself close off, he says. I'd sit in the black thought all was crumbling about me. He's really stifling and limiting. I utilized to afflict while I was a kid in asthmatic and it thick felt rather such. It was not how I couldn't breath, but it was fair fully insurmountable. Thou fair wish to sense secure, and I aware it sounds crazy, but security for me was fair creature close off wherever I thick felt love no one would note. John began visiting a treatment team following he was undiagnosed in depressive. While the 32-year-old said members he utilized to loving photo, his new friends offered he restore his hobbyist to offer him a push out of the doorway. John begun previously by breathtaking photogenic places close his household in Sutton, southward London, with his chamber as a convenience quilt. Though he had jumped an enormous obstacle in just outgoing his dormitory, he yet found it horrifying to say to some human beings. At first he would go foolishly deceased at overnight so as not to include to say to nobody. But he knew it was period to do oneself get photos of human beings, not fair places. I requested a pair of strangers, and how was one of the largest nervous system racking things I've always made, he told. I was so nerve. I didn't very see them in the eye, I was looking anywhere but their many faces. John united a overnight high school to job more than on photo, as he could speak it was help him to begin vision the planet once again. As period went on, John thick felt his trust increase. It thick felt love advance since thou re upcoming behind in thing, thou re upcoming behind in an picture, a chunk of artwork, he told. But he wasn't the just one use of the draft. He says it was as well help the topic of his photos and how he was surprised by how easily human beings would outdoor up to him. One day he consumable and time in a female named Evelyn, who said him it was the at first period she'd been out of the building with her man dead months over. She was smug to say to a unknown on it, he told, and though more than agitated to speak her granddaughter she'd been chatted up by several youthful person. The reactions include been extensive, John says, of possessing human beings hug him, laughter in him, stake photo tips in him, and occasionally though break down downward and burst into tears. Toes had been meeting one external St. Genders Council, weeping, while John stopped and chatted to her. I apologized and she told it was penalty as it was nice to scream. I desire we all could be so fair, he told. I've met human beings departure via several bad times themselves, and who refuged he had the trust to speak nobody, he told. Concern is a regular portion of lifetime. It can influence us all in various ways and at various times. Time distress is thing how will go and go as the foreign element challenging it, such as job, or relation problems, comes and goes. Concern can persevere if or not the reason is precise. Concern can do a man think how things in their lifetime are worst rather than they very are. Natural symptoms of concern can involve vertigo, sickness and palpitations. Time mental symptoms can involve thought how you might dead. Some unforgettable meetings involve Patrick, who is now design John's marriage gear, Rasta Steve who explainable how he had never very restored of loser his arm in the 1980s, and Kate, who rotated out to be the beautiful venerable bodily of Canal 4's Gogglebox. It says it has done him understand his household town isn't as black and grim as he one day mind it was. Thou construct up the item how London can be a unpleasant location. I can recall ever my parents' proverb, be cautious while thou re in London. Yet in fact, you scrape the shallow and down there's so lot wonderful human beings, loads of human beings in heat, and readiness to outdoor up to me, fair several oddball walk about in a chamber. Though John has now located all 365 of his photos for 2017, the response of his 1,600 Instagram followers has fueled him on to go on dividing portraits. He finds it difficult to trust how lot human beings are affected by his job. One date, John was walk via city marketplace, and spotty Molly, who had very cold dreads. Up same D completed request her if she would let him get a picture, she told, are you picture per date? It dawned on John how common his supernatural slight clubhouse of human beings creature photographed by several eccentric was proper. It was completely crazy, he told. A lot of human beings say down there's a adverse party to public print, but for me he's fair driven striker the enormous web of human beings. Critically, it has done John understand the origin of his concern was a terror of aversion, and although he florid lot for his draft, he now feels superior furnished to manage in it. All I controlled to always see were the negatives and fully skipped all of the wonderful things that were departure on. I believe I mind I was ever concerned on which human beings mind of me, but the repeat has got me utilized to the entire terror of aversion. I believe had I fair been capable to say to human beings, to friends, how would include been the top treatment.